Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tom LaHue, and today we're going to be talking about overthinking things. Do you do this? I do this sometimes. Can't move forward because I don't know. I'm not sure what exactly the plan is, or I don't know if I really want to commit to this plan, or it feels like it's going to be a lot of work, or what if I get there and I'm not really content with what I accomplished? This can be a real struggle for many of us. I think of Enneagram type 6, but a lot of us who are not sixes still struggle with this tendency to overthink things. And so we don't make the progress that we could in life because we're too busy wrestling it around in our minds to be able to take the next right step. So if this is you, hang around for this video. I think it's going to be an interesting discussion, and maybe, just maybe, it'll help you. All right, guys, welcome back to the video. We're going to talk about overthinking things to the point that we can't really move forward. Overthinking keeps you stuck because you're moving forward in your mind and you're facing all the obstacles in your mind, but you may not actually be taking real action in the physical world and making any progress. So you feel like you're making progress because in your head you're working things out, but all of your energy is being focused up here in your head and not being focused on action. And so overthinking convinces you that you're moving forward when really you're just running on a treadmill. You're just spinning your wheels. If you ever felt trapped in your own head, like you're analyzing, and you can't get stuck out of that analytical mode, second guessing everything, planning, discussing, worrying, reaching out to others for support, but not actually moving forward, that's the subject of this video today, and we want to talk about breaking that cycle and actually beginning to take real progress in moving toward your goals. The first thing I want to say is that overthinking it feels like wisdom. I mean, think about it. It's called thinking, overthinking. It feels like we're being wise, we're being cautious, we're weighing things out. We can convince ourselves that we're trying to use wisdom when really it's just fear. It's just fear dressed up in a tuxedo of wisdom. And so you can tell people, yeah, I'm really doing a lot of progress. I'm getting out my journal and I'm journaling it. I'm putting stuff on my calendar. But overthinking pretends to be smart, and it tricks you into believing that you're being thorough, cautious, and wise. And who doesn't have respect for thorough, cautious, and wise? But when you face the reality, there's a big difference between being wise and being scared. And sometimes because we're scared, we don't make the progress going forward because we don't want them to be mad at us. We don't want to mess it up. We don't want to fail. We don't want the ground to open up and swallow us and the asteroids to fall on our heads. And so we're afraid of making the wrong decision. We're anxious. We're preoccupied. We don't want to look foolish. You know, a lot of people can handle criticism, but they can't handle anybody laughing at them. You got to get where you're more okay with people laughing at you, because they will. Learn to laugh at yourself a little bit. That might be a good thing. So, to stop researching, to stop planning, know when you know enough to make a decision. There you go. You need to know when you know enough. Like, okay, I'm 70% there, I'm 80% there. I know enough that I need to start making decisions and need to start taking action. If I keep waiting for the perfect time and the perfect plan and the perfect confidence, well, guess what? I'm never really going to ever feel adequate or perfect. And so I'm going to be stuck. So call it what it is. Stop labeling your fear as wisdom. Fear wants you to wait. Wisdom wants you to walk forward carefully and with some caution, but walk forward nonetheless. There's a huge difference. If you think you're going to eliminate all the risk before you move forward, you're probably never going to move forward. You're never going to know all of the answers ahead of time. And at some point, you have to step out, even if it's messy. The second thing I want to draw your attention to is that action often brings clarity, where thinking sometimes can obscure it. Honestly, sometimes when you think about things for too long, You need to get up and you need to take a walk. You need to turn on the Three Stooges and sort of wash your mind for a second and let your mind relax, because you're getting weighed down, anxious and worried and panicky or aggravated and frustrated. And sometimes just a whole bunch of action can start to move you forward. And as you're moving forward, even if you aren't going exactly in the right direction, you can start to pivot and shift and change that direction as you start to gain a little bit of progress. A huge mistake people make is that thinking that more time, I just need more time, it's going to make the decision easier. It doesn't always make the decision easier. Sometimes it gives you the delay that you want, so that you can talk yourself out of having to move forward. You can start to blame others, and why aren't other people supporting me, and how come they're not with me on this journey? You don't always think your way into clarity. Sometimes you act your way into clarity. You don't know what's around the corner until you get up to that corner, and it's going to take action to move you to that corner. So taking a step, even a small step, an actual action step, teaches you more than sometimes hours and hours of planning and thinking. Not that you shouldn't plan. I'm all for planning, but don't confuse planning with action. When you take action, you start to find out what works and what doesn't work. You start to discover what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you like, what you enjoy, what's helping the situation and what's not helping the situation. When you feel stuck, don't ask what's the perfect move. Maybe ask yourself, like Anna in Frozen 2, I think it was that movie, what's the next right step? What do I do next? Sometimes you don't need to know the entire, okay, sometimes you don't need to know the entire route before you make it to the next step on the route. Okay? You don't have to see all the way upstairs before you start going upstairs. We want to have everything worked out because we don't want to fail. We don't want to look foolish. We don't want to make a mistake. But sometimes we get stuck living in anxiety, frustration, and pain, trying to protect ourselves from future anxiety, frustration, and pain. And this really doesn't make a lot of sense, to live in something that we are trying to avoid. You don't have to know the whole path in order to be able to move your feet and start taking the next step. Yeah, but Tom, I don't know what I should focus on. I don't know what classes, I don't know what degree I should earn. Well, start taking classes. And as you begin taking classes, you start to learn what you like and what you're interested in. And also what professors are great and inspiring and what professors you might want to pass on. So the next step will get clearer often once you start to move. Okay, point number 3, the last point, is imperfect action beats perfect inaction. You can have the best plans in your head, but if they never, come into existence, if they never come into reality, then that's all they are, is just plans. And, you may not be getting paid to plan. You may be getting paid to take action. So perfectionism and overthinking are best friends. Wanting to get it perfect and then overthinking everything. They convince you that if you do it perfectly, that everything's going to be great. But if you mess up at all, it's all going to fall apart. It's all going to fail, and everybody's going to hate you, and you're going to have to go to the garden and eat worms because you're no good at anything. Here's the reality. Imperfect action will always beat a perfect idea if that idea only lives in your head. If you can sit around and think about the best way to catch fish, but you never put your line in the water, you can have the best, fishing plan in your head, but you're not going to catch anything. The guy with the stick and a string and a hook is going to beat you every time, because you're not actually putting your line in the water. So nobody gets good at something without first being bad at it. Everybody feels awkward and uncomfortable the first time they try something. You don't sit down to the piano and know how to play. You don't start, watching videos on Spanish and then suddenly you can speak Spanish. Que bueno. You have to practice. You have to work at it, and you got to try. You got to step out there. You don't just know how to paint. You don't just know how to do these things. And trying is frustrating because it's going to lead to failing, and failing leads to wisdom. Failing leads to wisdom, and you don't fail until you take action. So spinning it around in your head is not really wisdom. Trying stuff Watching other people, listening to them, watching their strengths, failures, moving forward and trying things is what brings wisdom. So, where do you need to stop thinking about something today and start taking action? Maybe it's your physical health, maybe it's your financial health, maybe it's your relationships, maybe it's that job that you're thinking about changing or going back to school. It's like you can spend so many hours researching, investigating, that you almost convince yourself that you're doing something, but you're not making a lot of progress. So give yourself permission to be bad at something. Give yourself permission to learn the hard way. Start messy, start ugly, start scared, but start. You know, if you were going to try to do anything, you're going to have to learn the language of that thing. For example, I'm trying to do day trading on the stock market. You know what? There's a whole language that you have to learn to understand the stock market, and I'm barely understanding it. But you're going to lose money. You're going to start messy, but you're never going to be successful if you don't get started. And don't you wish you would have started 10 years ago? Don't you wish you would have started investing, 20 years ago? Just because it feels a little overwhelming doesn't mean you can't get your hat in the game and start making progress. So, every expert was once a beginner. Everybody who knows how to sing at one time probably couldn't sing very well. They felt unsure, they felt stage fright, they felt uncomfortable. They were once terrified, just like you are. But they kept moving forward and they kept making progress. So start where you are and let the growth catch up to you. Just believe in yourself. Say, I can do this. I've done hard things before. Nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to start making progress. So your life is waiting, but it's not going to wait forever. And that future that you want to wrestle and win is not going to just always be there. You have only so much time in this life, and you have the responsibility to own your life, own your space, own your voice, and show up fully to your life, to be present to your life. So you were created for more than just analyzing life or observing life or thinking about life or relationships. You were created and designed to live it, and we need you. We need you to show up fully. So you don't get extra points for waiting until you're 100% ready. You don't get bonus credit for perfectly laid plans that you never act on. What are the opportunities that you're dreaming about? What is it that would make your life better? What is it you've been thinking about, wrestling with, and stewing over? It's not going to wait around forever. There's a window, and eventually that window is going to close. Which side of the window are you going to be on? This side or the other side? What dream have you been overthinking that you need to take action on today? Don't wait another week. Don't wait another month. Don't wait for someday. Yeah, someday. Someday. You got to start moving your feet now. So, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it's helpful. Remember that momentum and movement often breaks that anxiety. You start to build confidence. And I want to help you in that. If you want some support, encouragement, and guidance, I'm here for you. I'd love to work with you. Check out my coaching plans and whatever I can do to help. I'm with you on this journey, your relationships. Let's do this together. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time. Be present to life.